The exercise that I give to my students for their very first regression is a regression to a happy event. Since we're not using regression for therapeutic purposes, if someone accidentally asks a leading question, it's not nearly as serious. So I ask my students, when you do this for a friend or willing relative, keep it short, but be aware of the questions you're asking. And before you do this with a friend or relative, we'll take time in the classroom. So after I demonstrate it in the class, the students will pair up and actually swap regressions right in the classroom, because with only a light trance state used, the person on the receiving end of the short journey in the class can also note whether leading questions are asked or not. The way it works is I ask somebody to tell me about a happy event they'd like to go back to. So in order to do this properly, I'd like to ask for a volunteer. Who would like to remember a happy, pleasant event? Come on up. It can be a happy event from childhood or adulthood, doesn't matter what age. Vacation or holiday or long weekend. Something that's happy. So what would you like it to be?
Should it be something that I don't remember consciously?
In this case, it should be something you do remember consciously. Dancing on stage, ballet, okay? Even though you remember it, what we're going to do is help you revisit it in your imagination with only a light state of hypnosis. So, at what point would you like to begin this journey?
About 5 minutes before I go on stage.
Okay. 5 minutes before going on stage. And where was this stage? What location?
It was in a theater in Iceland.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to hear the name.
Oh, that's okay. Theater in Iceland. I might not be able to pronounce the name. That would get my tongue tangled. Okay. I'm only going to use a light state of hypnosis. But what's important is that you go into your imagination to remember sights, sounds, sensations. And are you ready to begin your journey? Okay. Get comfortable, eyes closed. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths and relax. Imagine a relaxing sensation moving through your toes and feet, spreading up through your ankles and calves, every nerve and muscle responding to your desire to relax. Just allow yourself to become very mellow, comfortable, remaining comfortably seated in the chair as the relaxation flows through your knees and thighs, up into your hips. And as you imagine being in a peaceful place, the relaxation becomes more and more real, circling your waist and moving up through your back, into the back of your shoulders and the top of your shoulders. Just imagine a relaxation flowing down through your arms and elbows. And just imagine more comfortable sensations in a place of peace. Because in your imagination, you can be anywhere you wish and do anything you wish to do. So as you imagine this relaxation spreading through your neck and scalp, your forehead and temples relax, your cheeks and jaw muscles relax. Every nerve and muscle relaxing completely. And just remember that in your imagination, You can be anywhere you wish. You can move through time as well as space. So just move back in time to the theater in Iceland where you were dancing on stage. The ballet dance. And go back in time to 5 minutes before you went on stage and tell me where you are. What do you see, hear, or feel?
I feel kind of nervous, but in a good way. I can smell like theater smell. That is another way. And I can see props from plays that have been in the theater the day before. I'm looking at them and I'm touching them. I know I shouldn't be, but I am.
That's okay. So, is there anything else you see, hear, or feel? What else do you see, hear, or feel before you go on stage?
Everything's like a picture. Like the floor, the table, the floor, the white marks after them, their shoes, and you can see my friends.
What happens next?
beside me. There's a green light on the stage, and the girls were dancing. They're finishing their dance, and one girl falls down, and there's a little bit of a panic, and then everyone finishes, and then they go out, and my heart's beating, and I'm excited.
Move forward in time to when you're on stage. Now what's happening?
We're dancing, and it's really fun.
How are you dancing?
I'm exploding on the stage. It's like a light in my chest is exploding. I'm so happy. It's amazing.
And why are you happy?
Right, it's like being in a beam of light. It's the center of all happiness.
Move either forward or backward to the happiest moment of this event. Where are you?
I finished the dance, and everyone is standing up and clapping. And I'm really sweaty, and I'm really happy standing on stage.
Very good. Bring the memories, bring these happy memories with you back to the present as I slowly count from 1 to 5. Remembering the good part of it. Number 1, slowly, gently, gradually returning to conscious awareness. Number 2, you can tap into these memories whenever you wish for empowerment. And on 3, give yourself the idea that anytime and every time you get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, you're totally alert and responsive to any and all traffic and road situations. Stretching a little bit on number 4. You may even want to feel like dancing in your mind, at least on 5, eyes open. Time to come back. Isn't this good stuff? Isn't that fun?
So much fun.
Now, see how short this regression was? So what I have done over the years, for the first exposure my students have to regression, is I demonstrate this in the classroom, and then I have the students pair up in pairs and take turns doing this with each other. Then, as a homework assignment, before they come back the following week, they're asked to do the same thing with a willing friend or relative, so they have a couple of regressions without the risk of false memories, where they sit down and ask the open-ended questions. But the caveat is you want to only remember the good memories. Okay, thank you for volunteering. Let's give her some applause. So are they almost ready for the break now? Good. So we're going to go ahead and take a coffee break, and then after the break, I'm going to give all of you the opportunity to enjoy reliving a happy moment by pairing up with each other. So you'll have one opportunity to help your classmate enjoy a happy memory, and then you will have the opportunity to be on both sides of what you just saw demonstrated. Okay, I'll see you after the break.
Thanks.
do the non-therapeutic exercise that you saw me do with Vala before the break. So do any of you have any questions about the exercise before we proceed? Do a short induction. You don't need to go through extensive deepening or 100-to-1 technique because this is not a therapy session. Just a light state of hypnosis is sufficient. And with your partner, when it's your turn to be client, I ask that you tell the facilitator consciously a happy moment that you remember consciously that you would like to go into in your imagination. And also, it's important that you remember only the happy times. I remember years ago telling that to my class, and all of a sudden this lady goes into abreactions because she remembered a happy time in her teens with her brother. Only problem is her brother had passed on to the other side, so there was an unexpected, unresolved grief therapy session I had to do in front of the class because she didn't follow the instructions. So please follow the instructions. Recall a happy time where you're not going to have to be dealing with negativity, just happy moments only. Understood? Okay, so you can choose your partner and pair up and have some fun.
Let it flow.
Ja.
Isn't this an interesting exercise? My students over the years have found that this is a good way to experience your very first regression as a facilitator, because if you do accidentally ask a leading question, you don't have the same consequences as you would in a hypnotic regression therapy session. But I ask my students, when they do this exercise, to be aware of how easy it is if you're not careful to ask leading questions. And an example that I have actually heard more than once in my classroom when they've swapped sessions with each other doing this regression to a happy experience is, for example, going back to Hawaii or fun at a beach. Where are you? We're at the beach. Oh, are you swimming? Can you see how easy it is to make an assumption? And more than once I've heard a student ask another student, are you swimming? When the person has gone to the beach. And it's so easy to do that, that's one of the purposes of this. So I've had students come back a week later and say, well, you know, I think I asked 2 or 3 leading questions the first time I did it, and I only asked 1 leading question when I did it with my brother, or when I regressed my teenager to that football game, yada, yada. So if any of you feel you need more practice on this, feel free to do the same exercise with a willing friend or relative or another student outside of the classroom. Now, occasionally I have met a hypnotherapist who has told me that before they ever use regression therapy with a client, they'll actually regress a client back to a happy time, just so the client knows what a regression feels like. Although I do not personally do that. You can, that certainly is your option, and I would say it would be between you and your client should you choose to do that. And as you discovered from experience, it only takes a few minutes to help somebody relive a happy time. However, if you're going to do regression for a therapeutic purpose, when practicing hypnotic regression therapy, or HRT, it's very important that a client be deep enough. So the first phase is client preparation, and part of that is deepening. Do we have any questions or comments on this exercise before we jump into the meat and go through the 5 phases? I want to thank all of you for participating in this exercise.